Hi, geeks. Michael here. Welcome to another free preview of Wizards, the podcast guide to comics.
Greetings, geeks, green and otherwise.
Mhm.
Welcome to the latest edition of Super Cinema. Here we are, ready to roll about a discussion inspired by the final issue of Wizard Magazine in 2011, as suggested by Michael Canetti last time around.
Yep.
We are talking about 2011's Green Lantern, starring Ryan Reynolds. Didn't need to star Ryan Reynolds. We'll get into that.
Well, I want to start off because this movie has such a stacked cast of people that, like, how did this movie bomb? The cast is massive. Like, I'm like, wait a minute. When I realized that Taika Waititi is in this movie, I was like, wait a minute. I need to go down the list of this cast. I mean, you got Tim Robbins, you know, Blake Lively is phenomenal in this movie. You got the Skarsgård guy, Peter Skarsgård. I mean, Mark Strong. You know, what's his name? Who voices Kilowog?
Oh yeah, Michael Clark
Michael
Duncan.
Yep.
Clark Duncan. Like Angela Bassett. This is a legit cast, and it bombed. And I have to think the reason why it bombed, honestly, is the CGI suit. I think.
You're jumping to conclusions here, Michael. We're going to get into this, but we
Okay.
got to figure out what was the buildup and the disappointment, the rise and the fall of this film. Because I will tell you, like, definitely, like the thing I always heard throughout the '90s and going into the 2000s was there's a Jack Black movie that's going to be the Green Lantern. It's a comedy. He's gonna make, a bong out of his ring. He's gonna just do all this stuff. It's gonna be, and this is like Shallow Hal era, like
Oh God.
this is 1997 when we're first hearing about this. But like Robert Smigel, Triumph the Comic Insult Dog, wrote that. I mean, co-creator of Late Night with Conan O'Brien, co-creator of the Dana Carvey Show, another notorious train wreck that I love. But yeah, so like there was all that build up, and then there were like a lot of people here and there saying, "Oh, maybe I'll make it. Maybe I'll make it." Greg Berlanti, the guy who creates, Arrow and The
Yeah.
Flash and all Supergirl, all these shows, like he was working on it forever. Like it was in development for so
Yeah,
long.
there was so many rumors and such a hope that he was going to show up at some point in Smallville, and it never came to fruition either.
Yeah, like he really, like, he was guiding it and then drops out finally at like the last minute when I guess the studio was interfering enough. And then we get Martin Campbell. Martin Campbell, who directs GoldenEye
Yeah.
and Casino Royale,
Yeah.
like really like a definitive moment in James Bond's career
Yeah.
twice.
Yes.
I mean, so he had that going for him, but it's just like, I guess my question for you guys is, were you anticipating this movie before you saw the trailer? When you started hearing about it,
Oh yeah,
what a Green
absolutely.
Lantern movie.
Absolutely. I was like, "Oh my goodness," cuz uh, for Pete in particular, he got back into comics through me giving him Rebirth. And that's sort of one of the things that really was my resurgence into comics was Rebirth as well. And like to think to see Hal Jordan on screen was going to be massive. And you're like, I think Jeff Johns was involved in this movie, wasn't he? Like somehow,
100%. Yes.
yeah,
So I think we almost can't even do this episode without touching again on my background, my origin
Yeah.
story here, right? Because it's like I think probably we talk a lot in this podcast about like, oh, do you remember? Do you anticipate? This is probably the one that I could answer that the most definitively of any we've ever done before. And it does start, right, with Green Lantern Rebirth and Mike handing me this trade paperback and saying, like, hey, I know you used to read, comics. Take this with you, see what you think. And like all of a sudden, like becomes like my kind of jam for many a year. But there's a lot of stuff going on that leads into this film, not the least of which is Jeff Johns, right? So like this is the point in time where I'm, hitting New York Comic Con in its early years. This is where I'm going to C2E2 in its, very first and second years. And like it's building
Oh.
to like what they're going to be doing with this. And we're in a similar time period to we are now, where we're doing a big reboot of like what is DC going to be? And Jeff Johns becomes the head of entertainment, right? So he gets put into this role where he's going to take over like all of the TV and movies, and he's going to be advising on what they should be doing. And this is one of the first ones out the gate, and this is his baby, right? He just
Yep.
wrote Rebirth. He just wrote like I forget how many, but like I don't know, what is it, 60 plus some odd issues of Green Lantern
And
as
Blackest
it
Night and all those things. Like, yeah.
exactly right. And so we have our friend Joe. I'll give Joe a little nod with like the in Johns we trust, right? Like we were all in on this. And I think it's like everybody was going into this at that time that was, DC Green Lantern fans saying, like, all right, like if he just does what he's done with the comics, this is going to be great. And then he kind of does what he did with the comics. Like he borrows some things and then like they kind of change some other things and it kind of ends up this like mess, you know? And it's just like,
So I feel like in particular, I don't think that Ryan Reynolds was the wrong casting for this. I think he
So I
has
remember what everybody wanted at the time was who we just finally got was
Yeah,
Nathan Fillion, right? Like,
exactly.
it's not so close in time to when he's coming off of Firefly and things like that, but like there's people with that Firefly kind of like cocky, um, you know, just full of himself, like kind of like Mal Reynolds read as like a pretty good proxy to like a Hal Jordan. So I think a lot of people were like, oh, like he's got the look. I think this is our guy. And then there was a lot of other people that were being pitched around that time. Ryan Reynolds would not have been on my list for guessing, but like when the announcement got made, I was like, all right, I could kind of see this. Like, like he's kind of got that, same sort of cocky personality. I'm sure he could, do something with this too. And I think for his part, he tried to treat it pretty earnestly. He's not doing the full-on Deadpool Ryan Reynolds shtick in this. You know what I mean?
he's not, but I feel like they wrote it like he's playing Van Wilder becomes Green Lantern.
A bit.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, he's basically Deadpool from X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah.
Essentially, he's that character without the final fate of that
Yeah.
version. Like it's a situation where you're thinking, okay, when are you going to be funny? Oh, you're really not. You make one joke that was in the trailer, and that's pretty much it. Like
Well, I
there's
think this is the problem with Ryan Reynolds, right? Like in general, like there's two versions of him you're going to get in a movie. It's either like the full-on, like, snarky, ridiculous, over-the-top version, or you have this kind of more earnest, trying to play things a little bit straight. And I don't think he does great with that. I mean, like there's been a few roles that he's had. What was that movie? It was more like a romantic comedy where he comes back to the town, whatever. Like he was fine
The
in
Yeah,
that.
just
proposal?
friends. See,
Well,
that's what I knew him from. Two girls, a guy at a pizza place, and
Yeah.
just friends. That I
It's
hadn't
Just
seen
Friends is
the
the one I'm thinking
Blade
of. Yeah.
sequels. I hadn't seen any of that. So I was just like, oh, that guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we get a little bit closer to that version of him. And like I think that's my problem is like I think this character lies somewhere between those two, and like he's kind of not like hitting it exactly where it needs to be. I'm going to bring up the actors because we sort of touched on this. Mike
Yeah.
is always diving in like 100,000% into podcasts. Like he wants to get to the part that should be like three-quarters of the way through, like in the first five
He
seconds.
can't help himself.
No,
I
but
I get a little overeager.
yes, he's excited. But
I
but
also
Blake
want to
Lively is a sticking point because Mike and I are very good friends for 20 years now, but we have our
almost
things that we
25
see a
years, sir.
hundred
Almost
percent
25.
Yeah, you can't count on me for math. We have our things that we're 110% on the same page about. Then we have our things that we are just complete opposites on. And this guy on Blake Lively and me, like we have very different takes on who this actress is. Like when I heard she got cast in this, he's like, yeah. And when I heard she got cast in this, I'm like, no. And then I think the results are the same because you saw him already be like, she killed it in this movie. And my take on her is like, you have the power to overcome fear. I am going to make sure my father's business is good. This is her delivery on every line in this movie. No, forget that. She's a
Well,
train
but
wreck
let's
in
talk about that. Like,
this.
so
So,
I had not seen Gossip Girl. I don't know anything except this performance. I've never
oh,
seen her
she's
in
great in
anything
Gossip
else.
Girl too. She's fantastic in it.
Yeah, and I'm sure
I
she
will
has
admit
like,
to not having ever dived into Gossip Girl.
Well, listen, you know, I want to also, so I also this week watched a movie that came out at a similar time to this, which was the Ed Norton Incredible Hulk. And the breathy, whispery Liv Tyler, where I couldn't even hear what she was saying, is
Yeah,
so much worse than the
yeah.
Blake Lively performance.
well, and look, we got to talk about this while we're on the topic. If nothing else, this movie got Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds together. They're still
Yes.
married to this day. If it accomplished only that, that is wonderful. For this movie to suck,
Yeah.
but love thrived. Okay. Like, congratulations, you guys. That's an amazing thing. And you can tell they have a chemistry on
Yes.
screen. It's just they are both kind of at the same level of blah.
Yeah.
But when you get into the actual, like, what are the strongest performances in this? It's Peter Sarsgaard, who's the
Oh
only
my
one
God.
like doing a nuanced, weird, like
Creepy.
decision making. Like watching this in the theater, I was like, what is this guy doing? Like, this is
Although I'll say,
amazing,
like,
but
anytime he
it's
just starts
weird.
screaming, he's at 11, man. Because I'm
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, oh
so
my
much
God.
screaming.
I rewatched this last night. My wife came down at a point through the middle of it, and he was like in the middle of like, ah! And I was like, if I hear like one more of these by
I'm
the
just
end of
talking
this
about when he
film.
has actual dialogue. It is really interesting. But then for me, on the other side, this should have been a Sinestro film because
Oh
Mark
yeah.
Well,
Strong is awesome.
Oh my God. He's
you're gonna get into
phenomenal.
my entire like when this came out, and again, like I've probably like put this out there a number of times in this podcast, but like I'm somebody who generally likes a movie as long as it's like minimally entertaining. So when this came out, because it's one of the only things I had to hang on to as Green Lantern, like I was like, all right, like okay, like it's not like what I want it
Did
to be,
did we see this
but
together? Did we go together to see this?
100%,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Oh, we
actually,
did.
they came out with several. Like I always used to say, and it's sort of shifted over the years now. But like at a period of time, especially into the middle of like the MCU, MCU was great on delivering live action movies. DC was great on delivering animated movies, and they had done several good animated DC Lantern movies. So
Oh,
like
like
I
First
had
Flight.
those.
Oh my God, that
I
thing's
had those to
amazing.
fall back on too, so I was feeling very good about those. And maybe we'll get to those at some point in our 90s Super Cinema
We have to
to-do
start doing
list.
some animated. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the Wonder Woman movie that DC put out was
I
phenomenal.
was
Like
just
Oh,
I would
watching
even say
that
that
the
that's
other day
much
oh,
better
with
than the
Nathan
live action
Fillion,
movies.
yeah.
Yeah,
Steve
exactly. Yep.
Rogers. Yeah,
Yep. And so like they had a great string of stuff like that that came out that like was giving you hope for something like this.
Oh no. Oh God.
just think, I only
Fantastic.
look half as stupid as Ryan Reynolds. Look, I
Uh,
got my official costume right here. It's ready to be form fitting.
oh, good
Very
Lord.
nice.
This is
I I feel like we need to start this episode with like in brightest day and blackest night. No evil shall escape my sight. Look at Pete got the friggin' lantern behind him.
yeah.
Yeah.
I am
I was
rocking.
sorely tempted to 3D print a mask up.
And I gotta ask you this. So this guy actually resides on our like rear view mirror of
Nice.
our van, of our
That's a
family van.
weird position that he's in there.
Well, I think he came with some like he created himself a motorcycle or
Like a
something.
light cycle of some sort.
But like I was trying to think who had the fast food tie-in.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't
I do
know.
vaguely recall that carrot, like that shape of him, though. But yeah, I don't remember who had it.
That's an odd position to be in, I'll tell you right now.
All right. Let's
I,
get the glasses on.
I don't know how I got these on my fingers, and I don't know how if I can get them off.
Yeah, I usually supposed to rock it on the middle finger, but this does not fit my middle finger, and this is the ring that goes with the lantern. So like if you tap it to the glass, which it doesn't do right now, unfortunately, but it makes the lantern glow green. But it I let the battery sit in it too long and they corroded, so I got to sit and clean all that out and
Oh
fix
God.
it.
Thanks for checking out this free preview. You want to see this and more and the uncut version of all of our episodes? Go to our Wizards Patreon, which is patreon.com/wizardscomics. as well as you can follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or X, or whatever they call it now. Like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more. See you next time.